It has been an exciting year in Washington. We have some great accomplishments under our belt, particularly, as I like to say, in our body, the House. We have passed the Stimulus Recovery Act that was signed into law by President Obama. It's been putting people back to work. You've seen the signs on Highway 36, Highway 70. We have passed a very strong energy policy, a cap and trade to reduce our carbon emissions. That one is sitting in the Senate. And of course, we in the House have passed a health care reform plan with a public option. And we are now in the final stages of the negotiations with the Senate, and we're making sure that we can improve that bill from where the Senate left it. I don't think we'll get it back to being as strong a bill as the House initially passed, but I think we'll be able to get a good bill that we can feel good about, that'll help cover more Americans, reduce the increases in rates that people have been experiencing, and help make insurance more available for small businesses and people who are self-employed. We also continue our work this year. We'll be working on a couple big areas. We will be working on education. As many of you know, I'm on the Education Committee. We hope this year to finally reauthorize the ESEA, or No Child Left Behind, after 10 years. So it's a very important year because we only do education policy federally once a decade or so. It could be, 8 years or 6 years or 10 years, but we are hoping to put in place over the next year, year and a half, the next decade of education policy, which will be very important for the next generation and provide opportunity. We also hope to, certainly one of my top priorities working on your behalf is working to pass comprehensive immigration reform this year and finally create a real system where people can participate in, help people emerge from the shadows, and promote your economy and jobs, and that's going to be a big battle this year as well. So those are some of the things we're working on this year. I will be seeking another term. I'll be excited to work for you for another 2 years. Yes, we do have opponents. There's 2 Republicans that have already announced, also a Green and a Libertarian. But we hope that they have some, Republican primary, but we'll see what happens there. But this will be a tougher year for Democrats than the last time around. There will be people who, just because of the D by a candidate's name, don't want to vote for them. So we've really got to tell the story. It's the person as much as the party. Hopefully after we pass health care, we'll start building, some more political capital around the Democratic brand. But we are certainly taking nothing for granted. We're fighting hard. I'll need your help again. There's several ways you can help. We need volunteers. Primarily, we'll be doing a number of parades, 6 or 7. We'll need people who are willing to march with us. We need people to help with signs. That means kind of, if you're willing for your home to be like a sign depot for your precinct, then we can help use you to distribute signs to your neighbors. We need people willing to do that. And of course, your financial contributions are greatly appreciated as well. There's envelopes at the table back there. Where are they? Lisa? Back there with Lisa. We have some signed up. Lisa, tell us about cap and trade. Cap and trade, I think there's been a problem with the way we, or the Democrats or those who support it, have marketed it. A better way to market it, or what it really means, is green jobs. It means a lot of growth opportunity in the green sectors that Europe has already seen, and we are far behind here. So it's really a question of where will these jobs be? Where will we be creating energy efficiency in our homes, renewable energy technology? Will America be the leader, or will China be the leader, or will Europe be the leader? And we need to have the right federal policies in place to ensure that America is the leader. Obviously, in terms of a global approach to global warming, and truly any successful approach needs to be global, America has no credibility if we're not doing anything ourselves. So for America to be able to play the kind of leadership role that we want to on the heels of Copenhagen moving forward, and especially with the developing world, we need to have a regime in place here. The House has passed a form of cap and trade. This will be an issue in the Senate that they are trying to approach in a bipartisan way. I'm very hopeful that we will pass some kind of regime out of there. Again, it might not have everything we want. I wasn't entirely happy with the House version. I voted for it, but it gave a lot of free allowances to some of the same polluting coal companies that they had before. Now that was done not for policy reasons, but for political reasons. We didn't have enough votes to pass it without going to these members of Congress that represented the coal areas and then carving them out of it. So we'll see what comes out of the Senate. It's probably going to have more nuclear power. It'll probably keep coal. But at the very least, I believe it'll be better than the status quo. We've got to have renewable energy portfolio standards. We've got to have favorable tax consideration for renewable energy technologies. And this could be an enormous growth sector. In fact, it's been a growth sector. One of the few areas that's added jobs in Colorado in the last year, has actually been the green tech sector. It's added 20,000 jobs in the last 12 months in Colorado, when overall, of course, employment has gone down. So I think that we can continue that by passing the right kind of forward-looking policies at the national level. Well, the question was, why is Barack Obama so wonderful? Was that it? No, the question is, why isn't he as progressive as we thought he was during the campaign? I can't answer for Barack Obama. There are many things that I'm very happy with that he has done. There's some that I'm less happy with. He is an ally on this critical time in some areas of this healthcare debate. He is helping the House Democrats push back against the Senate in favor of creating a national exchange, in favor of some other elements that promote competition. He has been a bit of I have a disagreement with the administration with regard to Afghanistan. That was very disappointing to me to see that that was the conclusion that the president came to. He certainly has his reasons. I'm sure he listened to advice. I fall in a different place. I don't think that the ongoing and, in fact, increased occupation of Afghanistan helps fight the war on terror in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it contributes to sympathies for those who would do us harm. It actually builds their popular support. So I'm very hopeful. At some point, it will take Congress to just simply start saying no for him to adjust, and I'm hopeful that we will do that on any subsequent war funding bills. There is a very real terrorist threat to this country, but it comes from a stateless menace. It comes from Al-Qaeda. They have hardly any presence in Afghanistan. They're mostly in Yemen and Pakistan, and it needs a targeted intelligence and special operations, but it's counterproductive to occupy an entire country that has very little to do with Al-Qaeda as a part of prosecuting the war on terror. So there's been some good things. There's been some weak things. Look, I mean, there's things that we don't even give him credit for. Think about drug policy, for instance. I was very excited by his appointment of the new drug czar, also his announcement that they're not going to be going after states that have medical marijuana. Remember, in the previous administration, Colorado, which has medical marijuana now, would have had federal agents. They did this in San Francisco under the Bush administration. They broke into cannabis buying clubs and actually arrested people under federal law. Obama, it doesn't support legalized marijuana, but he has stopped the federal government from interfering with state medical marijuana. So there's a lot of things like that, which I think are good, that we as progressives can be proud of, and I hope we see more in the next few years. One of the main things we accomplished with this bill is we banned pricing discrimination and exclusions based on pre-existing conditions. Now this is huge, because there are many, many people today, probably even some of you here, you might be a cancer survivor, you might have had a heart attack, it might just be arthritis, but you would effectively be uninsurable or only insurable at extremely high cost if you were on your own or worked for a small company to get insurance. There are people that stay with large employers only because they can't get insurance on their own, and they can't work on their own if they're small businesses. This is a huge problem. If you eliminate that kind of pricing discrimination, there also needs to be, at the same time, there has to be a mandate. Why? Because if all you do is eliminate the pricing discrimination and you don't have a mandate, people simply won't be insured. They'll wait till they get diagnosed with something to buy insurance. So if I don't have, if I can get insurance after I get diagnosed with cancer, before I get my treatment, why would I bother paying all this time? So a lot of people very rationally would make that choice, and that would bring down that whole system. So if you eliminate pricing discrimination on pre-existing conditions, there needs to be some kind of universality to the insurance coverage, because one without the other simply won't work. There are a number of things that I'm watching in this bill that will need to be there for me to support it. One is I want to see the movement towards the national exchanges. Another is I am very closely monitoring the language around reproductive health and choice.